We live in a world that is just flooded with words, right? Words that can build you up, words that can totally tear you down. But in the middle of all that noise, the Bible makes this really bold claim. The words of the Lord are pure. So today, we're going to unpack that and figure out what it really means.
Okay, so this one verse right here, Psalm 12, verse 6, this is our anchor for everything we're talking about. It gives us this incredible picture. God's words are like silver that's been put through the fire, purified 7 times. Think about that. We're talking about something that is absolutely perfect, totally trustworthy.
Now, to really get the power of that promise, we've got to look at the world that inspired it. The writer, King David, he was surrounded by words, but they weren't pure, not even close. He was dealing with a problem that, let's be honest, we all know way too well. The problem of hurtful speech. So David's looking around and he just feels surrounded by unfaithfulness. It's like all the good, trustworthy people have just vanished. He sees everyone using their words not for truth, but just to get ahead, for their own personal gain. I mean, does that sound familiar at all? It's a feeling that is so relatable even today. And David gets really specific here. He's not just talking about some vague negativity. No, he calls out the exact kinds of corrupt speech he's seeing. Things like outright lies, that fake flattery, and just arrogant proud talk. He even has a name for one type, double-hearted speech. That's the core of deceit, isn't it? When someone says one thing but means something totally different. And here's the thing. This has real-world consequences. This isn't just about someone having bad manners. No, these kinds of flawed words, they do real damage. They absolutely shatter trust, and they leave these deep, lasting wounds on our hearts. But the good news is David doesn't just leave us there in all that brokenness. He points to the solution. So let's pivot and look at the promise in the Bible, because it creates this stark, beautiful contrast. In the middle of all the chaos of human words, there's this pure promise we can hold on to, like an anchor.
And the metaphor here for God's reliability, it's so powerful. Silver refined 7 times. Now in the Bible, the number 7, that means perfection, completion. So this isn't just hinting that God's word is pure. It's a flat-out declaration that it is perfectly pure, totally free from any error, any deception, any kind of selfish motive.
All right, so let's put these two things right next to each other. On one hand, you have flawed human words, and on the other, perfect divine words. And the contrast, well, it could not be more clear.
Just look at this comparison. Human words, they can be so unstable, they can fail us. God's word, it never fails. Our speech can be deceptive, right? But His is pure. Our words can wound people, but His promise is to protect the needy. It's really the ultimate contrast. It's like the shifting sands of what people say versus the solid rock of God's truth.
Okay, so this is a beautiful idea, for sure. But what does it mean for us on, a regular Tuesday? How do we actually apply this truth in our lives? Well, let's get practical. First up, how do we deal with this messy world of human words? It really breaks down into 3 steps. Number 1, start with yourself. Guard your own words. 2, be smart about where you put your trust. Remember, people can let you down. And 3, when, not if, but when you get hurt by words, take that hurt straight to God. He's your refuge.
And then there's the other side of the coin, how to really embrace God's word. This is about being proactive. So step 1, get into the habit of reading the Bible every day. Really cling to it. 2, make the choice to trust His promises, even when things look totally different in your life. And 3, let that truth sink in so deep that it actually starts to shape how you think and, eventually, how you speak.
All right, before we finish up here, let's just take a quick moment to reflect. Because the whole point of this isn't just to learn some facts, right? It's to let this stuff challenge us and maybe even change us.
So here's a question to ask yourself, and be honest. Whose words have you been leaning on more than God's truth? Is it what you see on social media, the news, what your friends say, maybe even that voice inside your own head? This is a great chance to just recalibrate where we're putting our trust.
And then there's this one. This question really pushes us to go on the offense. It's not just about dodging hurtful words anymore. It's about us becoming a source of words that are true and kind and pure. So how can your speech start to reflect God's heart, like today? So when you boil it all down, the message from Psalm 12, and really the whole point of what we've talked about today, it comes down to this one powerful, reassuring truth. In a world full of words that are shifty, unstable, and often just
impure. There is one source you can always, always count on to be true, to be steady, and to bring life. And that is this: God's word is pure.